cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of the Top Cut Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast. My name is Sunny. I am your host. I'm here with my co-host, Giant Skyhawk. How are you doing, bud?
I'm pretty good. This morning on Twitter, I posted a Little Mermaid parody because Eva made a post about Maxi, and that popped off. So that's been fun. I've been sorting cards because work has been dead too. I found my spare copy of Megalo Smasher X, so I'm solid.
That's important stuff for sure. Let's go ahead and go right on into our affiliate and pay sponsors and stuff of that sort. So, of course, a huge thank you always to all of our wonderful, wonderful patrons for their continued support of the podcast. If you want just the extra episode every week, the $5 and up tier, and if you want an extra, your name shouted out on the other podcast, like the extra little thing of that, that is in the $1 and up tier. So, thank you all for your continued support of the podcast. Of course, we want to thank ETB Games and Steelfox Games. Those are my two locals here in Louisiana. You can find TCG Player links for both of those in the description down below. Of course, we want to thank Dragon Shield, Gem Accessories, and TCG Player. We have affiliate links with all of those down below, and we also have an affiliate link for Tier 0 Games. I missed that one, oof. But the Gem and Tier 0 Games affiliate links are discount codes. You can just go ahead and put that in at checkout. We have a Teespring. Yeah.
We added Tier 0
I have a whole doc typed up, and I still missed it.
We added Tier 0 Games when Sunny was gone, for those listening at home, and so he just forgets it half the time. But that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. True. Also, if you're on Apple or Spotify, you can leave a little rating, and we really appreciate that. And also be sure to join our Discord, follow us on Twitter. Now, with that said, okay, all that out the way. Let's go ahead and introduce our wonderful and esteemed guest, the one and only TheDuelLogs. How are you doing, Mr. Log?
Hello, I'm doing good.
Yeah?
I had to think about that for a second.
I feel that. I feel like the default answer is always good, but I think it's better to be like, let me think about that. No, I'm good. We're solid. That's good.
No, it's just like, which company am I in right now?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is one of which I just say good because it's a standard greeting. They don't actually want to know.
Yeah.
Because that's impolite.
Well,
it's like, well, actually, I've been feeling sad lately.
That's
well, I am very happy to have you here with us today. So, for those that don't know, would you like to kind of introduce yourself to the listeners and kind of let everybody know who you are and what you do and why you're awesome?
In the Yu-Gi-Oh community, I run a YouTube channel that puts out clickbait top 10 videos. And then I also have a stream where we do gimmick decks. And I think that's about it.
A thing of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's interesting. So this kind of leads into everything else here. So the gimmick decks have kind of moved over to stream, but that used to be what the channel was. I remember.
Yeah, that used to be what the channel was all about.
Like ages ago.
And then, until like 2018. And then I had like some medical problems where I was like overworked and stressed. And trying to get daily uploads of gimmick decks was stressing me out. So I just stopped doing that.
I could definitely see that being stressful.
Yeah.
And then I moved over to just doing the stuff I did over on my other channels over there. And I was like, well, I don't want to abandon this channel because it's been going on for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Why don't I just put out a weekly top 10 video like I do over my other channel and see how that works out?
Turns out it worked.
Doubled my channel growth. Yeah.
You went
in
from
a year.
Yeah, you went from like, because I remember before when the shift happened, it was like, what, like 100,000 ish, and now you're sitting at like 350.
It was at 25,000.
Oh, never
And by
mind.
the end of the year, it was at 50,000, and by the next year, it was at like 150.
Crazy. Because
where are you sitting like right now? I'm curious.
I'm about to hit 350k.
That's just on the one channel. Sunny, you might not know this.
I was just about to lead into the mana logs.
The other ones.
That's just one of them. Because
that's the only other one that I know.
So the main, if I, not to speak for you here, but the main / first is Hiramared, right? Is the is the World of Warcraft channel?
Yeah, because like originally I was already successful in the World of Warcraft scene with my World of Warcraft channel called Hiramared X, which has like almost 300,000 subs, and it is one of the largest WoW channels. So like I was already
Wow.
doing that. I was like, I'm fine with that. I just do Yu-Gi-Oh on the side for fun. And then the Yu-Gi-Oh one's bigger. And then I also have the other
Shut up.
channels that I do.
So
Like-
is the Yu-Gi-Oh channel your largest at this point?
Yeah, it is the largest. The WoW one
Wow,
is still like the
that's
second
awesome.
largest, and then the Mana-Logs is the third.
That's wild.
Just funny
So-
that you bring that one up.
It's interesting.
So what all do you do like on a what's your normal release schedule? How many different channels do you release for on a regular basis?
6, I think. So on the main channel, there's like 7 videos, 6 or 7 videos a week. Most of those are shorts. And on the WoW channel, it's 1 video a week. And the Mana-Logs, it's 2 to 3 videos, and the other ones are just like 1 video, except for the clip channel, which is every day.
Oof.
But then again,
Wow.
clips aren't as hard to do as the other channels.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Would be quick editing. I think the
Mm-hmm.
first video I remember seeing from you. This was back when Dueling Network still existed.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been there's a I think it was a style because you used to have the codes on the deck. for
Yeah,
this. It
the
was
code
like,
names for them, yeah.
It was like XTR, Fade, and Style. I think were the main ones. It was
Yeah, those 3.
It was Tyranno Infinity style. I
Uh-huh.
got the Yoshi hat. I've been a dinosaur dingus forever. So
Yeah.
I just remember all the old Edo replays of the nonsense decks, and then Tyranno Infinity was the one that stuck to me. But it's
Yeah, where you just attack the 3 Ojamas with
yeah, that's
yeah,
the
I remember
one.
that.
God, yep. Oh.
It's so old.
It is ancient. I was just prepping for this. I was going back through like old stuff and all my old liked videos, and I was like, there's a lot of style decks on here.
Oh yeah, yeah. I used to make like one every day. Like some of
Yeah.
my friends who just got into Yu-Gi-Oh like the past year because of Master Duel. They're like, I was looking up this really niche card, and you had like 3 videos on
I
it.
did.
Yeah.
That's why when
I
you
probably made a video like on every single card that existed before like 2018.
I mean, at this,
Wow.
I think even before 2018, but you've probably like clipped past that now because like with all the top 10 lists as well, like you have to have talked about almost every card multiple times. Like I remember being excited when Toy Vendor came up in one of them. I was just ecstatic.
There's actually so many that have never appeared in videos. It's like I've been going through a lot of the videos for like compilations. And like for one of them, I was just doing a compilation of all the worst of videos. And I was like, I'm going to add in an extra card in between all 42 of these videos, cards that have never appeared. I had like a long ass list of cards that just never appeared in any of them.
What's an example of a card that hasn't shown up? I'm curious. Now I'm trying to rack my brain here.
We had like Shift. Shift is like an old school trap card. It just moves
Yeah.
one target to another.
Mhm.
It never really showed up in a video because it just didn't really do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's just like, this is a terrible card, and here it is. Or like
what's
Metaphys
funny
Executor,
is,
which is the boss
you
monster, the
s-
Metaphys archetype.
Yep.
You said shift, and my first thought was shifting shadows, where you rearrange all your set cards.
Oh my god. No, that one's definitely been in a video.
We got
Because it's so
of course it
terrible.
has.
Yeah. I'm sure Senate Switch, if we're talking Switch cards, has probably also popped up at some point. That's the
It did before Valiance came out.
Yeah, and then now
Yeah,
it's
now
even
they don't really
better.
get mentioned anymore.
Yeah, that's true. 'Cause now, yeah, I guess now the Valence can move stuff.
Yeah, because they literally have a searcher for it. Like one of their cards is like, and you can also
Yeah.
search out Senate Shift.
You can add
Yeah.
you can add Senate Switch and do nothing. I guess that deck is so hard. I've been trying to learn it lately because I love like non-linear
Why?
combo stuff.
Why would you do this to
but-
yourself?
Like people? Okay, you don't understand. I
Skyhawk, if anybody understands you, it's me.
I can't learn very many decks, so I figure if I'm going to spend my energy on them, it's going to be the off the wall ones, like like
Linear is not in your vocabulary, is it?
regardless. Speaking of the passage of linear time, so I think so what had you decide to get into VTubing? Because I think a lot of people, maybe on like the Twitter space or everywhere else, just kind of recognize you as the spider guy now. So
Oh my God.
what led to I want to do add
That was me for a
VTubing to
while.
the schedule, and yeah.
It's a
And-
funny story. You guys, have you ever heard of the World Legacy lore?
I know some.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, like the Orcus and stuff. It's a
Yeah.
pretty
Mhm.
large thing. So like I really want to turn that into like a video because like every year I pick like a project that I want to work on, and I have like I've done like maybe 50 of these little passion projects over the year that I work on like on the side while I do the other stuff. And I really wanted to do one on the World Legacy stuff. I was like, oh, I'm gonna hire like all these people for it, because like, whatchamacallit, I needed a lot of artists and some voice actors specifically, and I could do a
Right.
lot of the animating and stuff myself. So when I was working on it, I spent a couple months learning how to make pixel art and how to like do all these other new programs for it, because I wanted the overworld to be done in RPG Maker. And when I was finally ready to get started on the project, I started reaching out to people, and like everybody ghosted me. And I was like,
Oof.
oh my god. It was like, I have like $100,000 to spend on this project.
What am I?
It was
gonna
like,
do?
I can hire anyone. Like their prices, it doesn't really matter what it is. And nobody wanted to work with me. I was like, so I have all this money, but I don't have like the reputation for it. And so I just sat on the project for a year, and then I was watching like one of Zara's podcasts, like Fifth Rate Duelist.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
know Zara.
And in her podcast, they were talking about that they were talking to a whole bunch of like Yu-Gi-Oh content creators on Twitch. And it's like, I never really used Twitch.
Mhm.
No, the amount of money is fine. I lost all the money. Like, I don't have them anymore.
Sonny, what did you do?
But you sent a message in the
Oh,
group chat
God.
asking politely.
No,
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, because like,
Okay.
we call it. It's like I was watching this podcast and they were talking about there was all these other content creators on there, and they were talking about their strategies for getting a raid from like a big content creator on
I
Twitch.
remember that.
Yeah. So they were all talking about their strategies for that, and I was like, wait, I can send big raids. And it's like, and I really need to improve my reputation. It was like, maybe I should stream on Twitch, because I never used Twitch, because like Twitch is terrible. I don't like Twitch.
Yeah.
But it's like these people, there's like a whole culture of raids I didn't know existed. I didn't know people cared this much about raids. And it's like, well, I know how to build a successful stream because like I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm pretty successful at a lot of this stuff that I do. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a stream so that I can have a successful stream so that I can send big raids to people. That way I can make connections in the industry, because I need those connections in order to work on this project. So I hired a couple of people to be clippers for me. I paid a guy like $60 to set up the spider model. And I just went on Twitch and we just posted clips every day. Master Duel launch was also a big help. And
Yeah.
like that's all it was. I was just trying to build up reputation to, like if you're playing an MMO, you're trying to build up rep so that you can get something at the very end of it. And it worked. Now I have a crap ton of connections that I didn't have before. 'Cause I know
Connections,
I
yeah.
met so many people through streaming that it's kind of insane. Like this is networking on easy mode.
Well, that's kind of what I
Because
had mentioned before. Was like it feels like every single time I show up in either like a VTubers chat or even just like a Master Duel streamers chat, like there's about like a 10% chance that you're there or you were there like 20 minutes ago.
yeah. In order to network, all you do is you just go to people's chats and you just like spam in their chat. But obviously you spam about whatever they're doing,
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear that both from like a strategy perspective, but also a human perspective. Like, this is a strategy for me to grow, but also I get to meet a bunch of cool people. That's
Yeah. I met so many friends through it too. And you just send raids to them and they love getting raids from like, a couple hundred people in the thing. And you just talk to them on Twitter and you just like keep in contact. You don't need to like talk to them every day. You just need to like have friendly relations with them.
Yeah.
And then you can just ask them for favors and stuff, and people just like offer their help. It's so nice. I have so many connections now that I could totally have done the project if I had the
It's-
money for it, but I don't.
Right.
So now I'm just building up the money for it. But that's the only reason I started streaming, and I didn't want to show my face specifically because I think like, well, if I was good looking, I would have shown my face already. I don't think it would help my brand. And like, there's all these VTubers and stuff. I'll just have like a scary spider on stream because I didn't want to use a face cam at all. But if you don't use a face cam when you stream, people will never shut up about it. They'll ask you constantly, where's your face? How come you don't show your face? You don't show your face because you're ugly? And I'd be like, yeah, of course. But even if you agree to them, they still won't stop asking. So I just throw a little spider up there, and now they don't ask the question anymore.
Nobody's gonna. I love that. That's the reason. So
That's all it is. It's just to
that-
get them to shut up.
So that's why the spider
so
in particular.
funny.
There's no extra like pick. It's just what's the thing that will get people to stop asking for a face reveal.
Well, the thing is, the reason I have a spider is because I was working on this video for like a mother spider deck in Duel Links. but I never actually released the video. It was like scrapped.
Yeah.
But when I was working on it, I had a PNG of Mother Spider just like ready to go. And so I just used that. And eventually when I started streaming, I was like, well, I can't use a Konami product. So I'm just going to I hired an artist. She's like, here, make something that's like this. And they give me
That's
this
funny.
design. And I found a dude for like $60 to rig it into a model. Because it doesn't really have to move that much. It just has to like move its claws a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, when you
Yeah.
are ready to work on that World Chalice project, I will volunteer my time for free to work on it because I've always wanted to try voice acting and it sounds fun as hell, honestly.
Yeah.
That's wild. The
Hey, maybe.
So this is a
I'll do like a
side-
whole like call out for it when I'm hiring voice actors. I'm not at that stage yet just because it's so expensive and I lost
Yeah.
so much money.
That's fair.
I would also like to say, not to cut you off, Skyhawk, on the thought of making connections and networking.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny that you bring that up because that was one of the reasons that I started pushing myself to go to all these in-person YCSs and events because I already wanted to go.
Oh yeah.
But now I have a reason to go even more so because while I do want to play and I do want to be competitive, I also, for example, Skyhawk, me and you got to stay together at both Niagara and London with James, with Darth Nash. And while we're there at these events, you know, James is introducing me to his friends, you're introducing me to your friends, and I get to not only network, but also just meet loads of people that, to be quite honest, I might not have gotten to meet otherwise. And while that is kind of a huge competitive advantage, you know, being able to go sit down and like have dinner with all these people and like get to actually like really interact with everybody. At the same time, it's also like you said, where it's like, I've honestly just made a bunch of really great friends,
Yeah.
you know? And that was the other thing that I wanted out of this was it's great to have like these 12 people from my locals that I'm friends with and I like talk to all the time every day.
Mhm.
But it's really, really great to have another list of people over here that it's like, not only can I talk to them about Yu-Gi-Oh, but if I have like really specific content creation questions about, hey, I'm having X or Y issue. I've not been doing this as long as most. And, you know, our 2.5 years doing this pales in comparison to, you know, whoever's 10, 12 years of doing this.
Mhm.
And to be able to come and not only ask for advice, but also just like talk to people, it's huge, huge.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely bug people if I know they have expertise in a field that I don't.
Right,
sense.
right.
So
Yeah, like hiring, you know, someone to rig the model. I had no idea where to find people. So I just asked one of my new friends I made. It's like, hey, do you know someone? It's like, yeah, I know someone. I can get you one for really cheap too.
That's
super-
awesome.
It's just easy. I know a person. So
Yeah, there's so many.
one thread I wanted to pick at. You mentioned so for the World Legacy project that was a passion project. I remember you.
Mhm.
I may be misremembering this. You posted on Twitter a while back talking about like passion projects. I think you were talking specifically about the people backing out of the project at one point. So
Mhm.
you differentiate. You say I've got like 50 or so of these passion projects that I do a year, and the rest of it is like content.
Yeah.
Are you at the point where you view creating content as more of a job? Is it something? Do you still enjoy doing it, or is it like? Is it? You mentioned like I make clickbait YouTube videos. Is it like? Do you feel like
Oh,
it's very?
yeah.
Do you feel like it's very content mined? Do you still enjoy putting stuff out?
I only make videos that I like myself. So like even if it is clickbait, I
Yeah.
think it's like good. Like sure, I clickbait people into watching it, but then people stay around because the videos
The videos are
themselves.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, because the videos are good. And I just like take away other people's like criticisms of it by just calling it clickbait myself. You know, we're not going to beat around the
Ah.
bush and be like,
I
I
see.
make informative content in a list style for people to learn more about the history of the game.
That's fair. It is. It's interesting. It is actually super historical. I think on the surface, somebody might be like top 10 listed. It's like, oh, whatever. But when you break down a card, you're like, if it's like, why is this card? For example, I think the series did well. One of my favorite series to watch is like you go through every single banned card and why it's on the list. and that's
Oh
like
yeah.
a bunch of here is the history of this card and when it was good and why it is banned. And I also love like what I think a couple of cards you were like, how could we get it off of the ban list? Like, would we need to give it in a row?
Yeah,
Would
I
something
remember
else have to
doing that
happen?
series. I hated it. I didn't want to do it.
Why not? Was it just too
The
much?
only reason
think-
I did it because I wanted to make a video on the top 10 like best banned cards.
Mhm.
So I was going through and looking through all these cards, like, okay, so why is this card banned? I actually don't know. And there was no information on the internet because Yu-Gi-Oh players don't write anything down.
Yes.
So
Or-
I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to do this myself because no one else has done this before. Like there were some attempts when I watched those videos too, and they were just like, well, this card was banned probably because of this rumor I heard, and I don't really know, but I'm gonna ramble on for 5 minutes like I do. I'm just like, oh my god, these
Yeah.
people don't do research. So I'm just like, I just gotta do it myself.
That's
So
true.
the reason I didn't like doing it because like the research is hard because people don't write anything down. People are like, why is this card
You-
banned? It's like I have to be like an investigator and like, okay, why was it actually banned?
Yeah, you
I have to look through so many past videos and like articles and stuff.
Yeah,
It was a huge nightmare to make.
I feel like a lot of the like informational side of it has retreated to places where people don't go. So like if you want to learn how to
Yeah.
play a deck, sometimes there's a video, and if you're really lucky, you can dig up an article. But it's like they're trapped in like Discord servers where you have to go and find pin messages. and
Yeah,
through different
it's so
channels.
hard. Like I remember when I heard about IKEA Labyrinth for the first time. It was like a really recent example because it was like a build that was created over in the OCG. I was like, oh, I want to see, you know, how the labyrinths combo off with these. I looked up a bunch of videos on it, and not one of them explained how it worked. They're just like, here's the cards used in this deck, and they would spend 10 minutes talking about the cards that are in the deck, but not how to use it. It was like,
Yep.
okay, that's the deck. I was like, okay, it says combo. Where's the combo? It was like, okay, so the combo here is you can like use the furnitures, I guess, to search out Welcome Labyrinth and then pass. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
This sounds like you really just want your video to be Giant Skyhawk's Fluffle Explainer. He about once every 6 months or so, he puts out a like 3-hour explainer on how to play Fluffle in its new stages with like a 5-card difference in like 6 months ago's
Oh my
deck list.
god.
But it's like a whole new 3-hour explainer.
Well, that's part of the
Yeah,
reason.
that's the one who pet decks Fluffle.
Exactly.
I hecking love whatchamacallit, pet deckers. Like whenever I'm doing my research and someone whose name is like Arcfiend King, and I was like, oh my
Right.
god, this guy's
Yes,
gonna know
yeah.
exactly why this archetype.
I've seen them on Twitter actually. There is actually.
Yeah.
Oh
there's
yeah,
the
yeah, I
Arcfiend
think
guy.
they are on Twitter. Yeah, or there's also a guy named like Medolce, like Pudding Cessor or something. It's like,
Yes.
oh my god, this guy knows how to do Medolce combos.
The Scrap Man, yeah.
Yeah. Like I honestly like will ignore, you know, deck profiles from like bigger content creators just to go to those pet deckers who's like, you know, if I want to learn like spirals, I'm gonna go to the guy who has quick fix as his profile image.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Well, I mean, that's part of the reason that I started putting those out. There's a couple Dino ones and a couple Fluffle ones, just because there isn't a lot of that out there for teaching people how to do something. And
Yeah, no, I totally get like when you pet deck something, you know every like in and out of it. Because like I pet deck a whole bunch of decks as well that aren't like archetypes. So like if you ask me about like Law of the Normal or like Cynet Storm, it's like, yeah, I know every single tech that's available to both of those things, and all these incredibly niche things. And you're like, why aren't you using these obvious ones? Like, well, because they don't.
So we gotta define pet deck here. I think a lot of people assume that's like archetype. You're a pet
Mm-hmm.
decker for like the half of the cards in the game that nobody has ever played before.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, I pet deck really dumb things.
You're like, okay, you were playing Law of the Normal Turbo before Dual Avatar even existed. You were like,
Yeah, exactly. And people were like, why don't you use dual avatars? Like, 'cause that's boring. You can't do
And the
anything
hilarious
afterwards.
part is that for someone to say that dual avatar is boring,
That's how.
like in a lot of players' minds, it's like dual avatar is already like it's not the super high end competitive deck. And
Yeah.
nope, too much. It's too boring and competitive. I want something different.
No, it's not
I
like
have so much
competitive. It's just
respect
like
for
it does get off the combo well, but it doesn't do anything afterwards. Like there's just like
Yeah.
no setup. Like the cold combo with Law of the Normal is you get out 5 level 2 or lower normal monsters, which can include tokens, and then it destroys all the cards in the field in both players' hands. So like it's a full hand wipe and board wipe. And it's like, what do you do
Okay.
afterwards? It's like,
Right.
well, dual avatar doesn't have any graveyard effects. So like you're just kind of a ham bone after you do it. And you also have a bunch of tokens that you can't use or anything because the card that brings out 5 tokens has an extra effect afterwards that you can use to fusion summon. And if you use that, then you can't do anything. And you also can't summon from the extra deck afterwards. So you just have tokens that are going to get destroyed. And literally you just don't have a field afterwards. So it's like,
Right.
sure, you can technically activate the effect, but you can't do anything else afterwards.
What's the prevailing theory then? What's the law of the normal tech?
It used to be like you would just play Eldritch with it. And you get a bunch of Eldritch cards in the graveyard and then just do things from there.
Mhm.
But like that's boring. There's like so many other ways you can just like accomplish it and then also just push for a game. There's like the Treasure Panda version where you just do that and get out 5 cards and then you actually like have combos after you get off Law of the Normal to win that turn.
Sounds
And it's like
insane.
trying to find like the extra deck monsters that can get 8,000 points of damage after you pull it off without having to draw another unsearchable card. And there's also like how do you even search out Law of the Normal, and like that's itself is just there's a bunch of different cards for it.
I think was it? Treasure Panda is like the suspect in all of these decks.
The thing is like Treasure Panda is like, you know, that's just like one option and it's not the best.
It's
just like, you know, that's a combo variant of it that exists, but there's other ways you can do it. I think one of the best ways is just to floodgate your opponent until you slowly build it up. It's just the more consistent one. Because like Treasure Panda version can get stopped by a single hand trap. Even the dual avatar one is stopped pretty easily if your opponent's playing any kind of graveyard deck. So it's just floodgates are the way to go. But like even that has its own set of problems too.
makes sense.
So I do want to ask you about kind of your history diving into kind of the depths of Yu-Gi-Oh's card pool.
Mhm.
I would love to hear a couple of what you found to be just the most fascinating or even just fun stories that you had trying to build interactions with these cards that most players have never heard of. Was there any one card or something like that that really you got to it and you're just like, what do I do with this?
Yeah, Law of the Normal. That was the one that got me into it. I still remember because like when I was a kid, I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh when it first came out, like back in 2002. However, after a while, my mom decided that Yu-Gi-Oh cards were of the devil, and then she convinced the rest of the family that it was also of the devil, so they made me throw them away. And because of that, I was like, well, this is stupid, so I'm just gonna play it in secret because they don't know what they're talking about. And then they forgot about it. Like the next year, they
course
bought me
they
like a
did.
Yu-Gi-Oh t-shirt. So like they were fine with it.
That's
But like yeah. So I was really into it specifically because my family told me I wasn't allowed to play it, which just made me want to play it even more.
Of course.
But since I couldn't have cards or anything, and I didn't have like video games back then, plus I was like in 5th grade, so I didn't have any means to do anything. I would just look at the cards at the store, like because I had like these magazines that would show like new cards that came out, and you can buy them through the magazine. And I saw one of them was Law of the Normal, and I read it, and I was like, oh my god,
Mhm.
this card is so cool. And then as soon as I like was able to get a Yu-Gi-Oh game, I tried building the deck in there, and then like I would just start making a whole bunch of different kinds of decks. Like I'd play Yu-Gi-Oh 2008, I believe, or 2006 for the Game Boy Advance,
yeah,
and it had like a pretty robust card pool in it. And like I would 100% the game and like do all the challenges and like card puzzles and everything, and I'd reset and just do it again.
was 2006,
and, like, all of those-
was that GX Spirit Caller or am I?
No, it was like World Championship Tour. Like
Okay,
you,
yeah.
all the gameplay basically involved just fighting 5 duelists 5 times, and you go into the next level and you just do that 5 times.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and there's just like a whole bunch of other duel challenges and stuff too. And like the people they had you go against were using like competitive decks at the time, so like they actually had hard decks to go against, which was a novelty for those games because usually they just had like theme decks. It's like, this guy uses bugs. It's like, no, this guy uses skill drain and like beatdown. Like literally one of the intro duelists.
Circle.
Yeah, literally one of the intro duelists used a skill drain beatdown deck, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is hilarious. So I just
It's
like
like-
played that game for hundreds of hours, and like I would just the duel challenges in order to 100% the game, you had to like win them through a theme deck, and like that's how I got into just building theme decks is because of those games.
Gotcha. So, where do you draw some of the inspiration for your list videos? Because to come up with one every week has to
So-
take some time.
We have a Trello page that has here. I can just take a screenshot and show
What
you
is
guys.
a Trello page?
So Trello is this website for like organizing projects. Usually they
Okay.
use it for like, if you guys are doing a group project, you just go there for that.
Wow.
But I use it to organize ideas. And so like all of my script writers have access to this, and like each idea has like a monetary value attached to it for how well I think it'll do. So like some of them pay more because I think the video's going to do better than others, just to incentivize them to work on the good videos. But we also just have like every generic idea too, which are definitely paying less if I don't think they'll do well. So we just have like hundreds of ideas on here, and each one is organized based on how well I think they'll do, and like that's how much they'll get paid if they work on it.
Actually, that's kind of a
So-
sick way to organize this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so when people tell me in the comments, like, "Oh, dude, in this video you're running out of ideas," I'm just like,
Nope.
Never.
Nope.
I got the whole
Listen.
tank right here.
Yeah, yo, the listeners at home are not gonna see that page, but that's a page and a half.
Yeah.
That is a lot on there.
So that's,
Oh yeah, that's just like a small part of it too, because like they'll scroll down for a long time.
that's another question too, actually. So is it? I guess, especially running this many channels, you probably do have a lot of people like working for you or under you. Is it like how you don't have to be specific, but like how big is the TheDuelLogs under the organization? I guess.
We have about 30 employees. If I check
That's a cabal. At that point, that's a cabal. I'm sorry.
if I look at, it's about 30, give or take. Like not all of them are full time.
Right.
I'd say like probably 5 of them are. But like most of them are just a whole bunch of like part-time people. Like all the script writers kind of just do it part-time. That's why I had to hire so many of them.
Right. So it's
Because if we
just
just had like one full-time person, then that'd be fine. But a lot of people don't want to do it full-time.
Thinking that sounds like the coolest thing ever.
To be a script writer?
Yeah. Just to have to take the time to research all these things, just to like have to deep dive into all these rabbit holes.
Oh,
to, like,
yeah,
put
yeah.
This together. That sounds it just sounds like the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I recently hired a couple bunch of new ones. And like one of them turned in a video today. I had to do like, well, you said Axis Code Talker's on this list, but you didn't explain why he's good. You're gonna have to go into more detail here. Like I just went through like a whole bunch of things with like, you need to do more research on these things.
Yeah.
that's good.
And I was just like, yeah. Most of the people I hire are like people who play like competitive events or like YCS tops.
Interesting.
Wow.
But also
So
we have a guy
it's-
who's just like super into the anime, and we've been doing anime videos have been doing well too. I was just like, ooh,
I mean,
it's nice to hire people a whole bunch of different kinds of backgrounds in Yu-Gi-Oh.
I was gonna say that gives you such a broad base to have people who just kind of pop in when they want to work on stuff or who have like different expertise. Like you could have somebody who's topped YCS events on one side and somebody who has watched Yu-Gi-Oh! GX 5 times forward and back.
Yeah, because like I don't watch the anime, so like those were always off the table for me. But then he just comes in and is like, here's like all of the best cards that Yu-Gi ever used. And I'm just like,
Perfect.
I wonder if this will do
Hey,
well.
yo.
It did really well. And I was like, oh, cool.
That's a,
Good job.
that's awesome.
So you have the World of Warcraft channel, which is called what again?
Hiroma Red X. This has
Okay.
a terrible name. I really wish I could change it.
You have the TheDuelLogs. You have the
Uh-huh.
Manalogs.
Yeah,
What
MTG.
else?
Then there's the Dex
Okay.
logs for Pokemon TCG. There's the
Okay.
D&D logs for D&D.
I was about to ask if there was going to be a Pokemon one, but I guess there already is. The Dex Logs.
Yeah, the Dex logs. And then there's the last one's just the clip channel. So I think that's
Okay.
all 6.
The D&D one and the Clip channel.
Mhm,
So
unless I'm forgetting about. No, I think that's all of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love
have
that
you
that's
had
the
any thoughts
conversation.
about adding?
Yeah.
Have you had any thoughts about adding channels?
I do want to add more channels. However, the budget doesn't allow for that at the moment. Because like that goes into like how I lost all my money for the World Legacy project was by starting the Magic and Pokemon channel at the same
Yeah.
time. And also, because I had a Hearthstone channel for a bit. I almost forgot about that. Which ultimately is on like indefinite hiatus just because of the back end problems with that.
Right.
Right.
So like I lost a whole bunch of money on that because it's very expensive to hire a bunch of people to work on these things. And
Yeah.
the Pokemon channel had a bunch of problems in the back end too. Like we had to fire one of the scriptwriters for like plagiarism.
You have to
And then
pull
just like
you have to pull some, especially to start a channel from the ground up too. Like it's not like you don't have experience with that, but if
Yeah.
especially to have it at the same production quality as something that's doing it that high, you want to like hit the ground running. But then if it doesn't take off, it's definitely a risk. So that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. The thing is like the channels were doing well at first. It's just like there's so much communication problems and there was like some personal problems I had too, which made I couldn't like micromanage as well as I wanted to.
Right.
And it's just like a whole bunch of things that we're still working on like fixing. Like I needed to hire more script writers for a long time, and I barely started like a week ago, just because there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of, I guess with the full organization, how do you? I think a lot of people see just like the sheer amount of content you upload, and obviously like now they have the context that you've got lots of people who work for you. But how do you manage your time as somebody who puts out that much content, comes up with ideas, and builds everything
And
up?
streams.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
kidding.
the streams are such a. I use. So I have like a couple of things I use to manage my time. So one of them, I just like keep track of my time in like this program called Toggle Tracker. So I can just like keep an accurate time of like how much time I'm wasting or like how much time I'm actually using every day. And then I also have a thing called Todoist, which reminds me of like things that I have to do like frequently. Like it's telling me today is like you need to go to your therapy appointment, you need to put out your trash today. But there's also like some other stuff. It's like, you know, it's your stream day, or you have to do this one thing you need to do once a month. So it just gives me reminders on that. And then for the day-to-day thing, I have like a Trello for that. Here, I can send you guys a screenshot of that just to keep it a little bit more organized.
Yeah.
And then I just have them like put in like how much time I think it'll take and like what kind of priority I think that thing should have. And like streams are very low priority. So it's like, you know, it takes 4 hours into very low priorities because it's just not super. Streams don't make as much money as just like making videos.
Right.
Yeah, because that's especially.
It's more of a like a noticeability and networking thing.
Yeah, it's all for just like networking and stuff. The thing is, like when I was taking it seriously for a bit, like the whole stream shebang was making like 10,000 a month. So I was like, that's not half bad, but it's not as much as the other stuff still. Even with that, not only
Wow.
it doesn't make anywhere near as much as that.
Twitch is also like it's like extra cut from the subs where YouTube wouldn't, or it's also like probably more volatile than views, I guess.
Oh my god, it'd be a nightmare to be a full-time streamer because you're so reliant on like the kindness of your audience. And also you're super reliant on just having some of your fans with big pockets, because a lot of streamers make a majority of their money through just like a handful of super fans
Yep.
who
Yeah.
just have large pockets.
Just a couple of people who want to be on the top of that donor list.
Yeah, just a couple who, like I know this like really small like VTuber who just started like a couple months ago, and she has one fan who will regularly go into their chat and just donate like 200 to 500 gifted subs a day. And I'm just like, oh my god, I've never seen someone with a, you know, a super fan with those deep pockets. And it's just one dude.
And
So it's like that one guy is probably like, you know, paying her rent and everything.
Wow, that's crazy. That one Saudi
Yeah.
prince can just really enjoy a VTuber and just do
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, but in my case, like when I started, I specifically would tell my fans not to give me anything because I don't need your money. And that just made them want to give it even more, but like it still wasn't that much. The main way I made money was basically through like the clip channel itself, which was making like 5,000 by itself, and then the stream itself would make the other amount.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people have like build an audience on Twitch, go to YouTube to like.
Well, the thing is, yeah, if you want
monetize.
to have a successful stream, you have to do more than just stream, which is like sacrilege if you try to tell a streamer that. Because like, you want to grow your
Yeah.
stream, you should post clips. And they're like, but I don't want to. That takes time and effort. I don't know how to do it. And just like, well, learn. It's like, but I don't want to. I have a full-time job. I can't do it. And it's like, okay, they're not going to grow then.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I feel like streaming has like really high highs where you see those streamers that are making like crazy money.
Yeah.
But YouTube has this just like baseline stability that you can take a week off and just be fine.
Mm-hmm. You really can. Like my World of Warcraft channel had so much problems with like just getting my editors to finish their videos. So like we were going like months without an upload, and it was still making like a couple thousand to like up to 5,000 a month.
Wow.
And I was just like, you know,
Is that just all AdSense?
yeah, because like the channel just has so much. Because I focus specifically on evergreen videos, so like the channels
Yeah.
just never stop getting views. But
That
you have to
makes
keep on
sense.
putting out new videos because YouTube doesn't want to recommend a dead channel. So like
Yeah.
you just basically have to upload, so YouTube will keep recommending your old videos that are doing the best.
Fascinating.
So,
yeah.
do you have any preference for something that you really enjoy working on the most? Do you have one channel maybe that's more of a passion project than the others, or has that kind of
Mm,
become dual logs and you just kind of go all in on that?
no, that it changes based on like my mood of the day.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm really into the Yu-Gi-Oh channel, sometimes I'm really into WoW channel, sometimes I'm really into the D&D channel. But like I don't know as much about Magic or Pokemon. So like I feel like those ones kind of suffer because I don't really know as much about it. But the Magic channel is like my third most successful channel, so it's not like it's doing bad. And the Pokemon channel is only doing bad because of a whole bunch of just like, you know, stuff in the background, just like development hell. Not anything with like the passion in the project. Because we just hired a new Pokemon scriptwriter and he's really good.
Yeah.
And like our Pokemon editor really loves working on only Pokemon videos and nothing else. But for me specifically, the thing I like to do most is editing, which is annoying because the thing I have to do the most is record audio, which is why my throat always
Yeah.
hurts.
That's
Yeah.
fair. When you got to be narrating every single video. What?
Yeah.
What do you?
That's why I really want an AI program that can copy my voice so I can stop.
Yeah, but doing stuff for this channel, I've been using Premiere and I've used DaVinci in the past. What do you use to edit?
Me, I use Audacity for the voice stuff. Because Audacity has this really neat feature called like truncate silence, which goes through and removes all little instances of
Yep.
dead air. So you don't have to do any editing.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I'm done recording, I just like put in 3 effects, background removal, compressor to like, you know, normalize the audio, and then truncate silence, and I'm done.
What do you use for video editing?
Video editing, After Effects and Sony Vegas.
Are you in Vegas? Okay, cool.
Yeah, Sony Vegas. I download a whole bunch of like free programs so that I can like see how they work, but I haven't really experimented with them as much.
That makes sense. I haven't actually tried Vegas. What is there a reason that you got drawn to it, or is it just that's what you started
Oh yeah,
with and you
Vegas
ran?
is like if you're gonna go for like one of the big video editors, it is the most user friendly for just like getting basic edits. Because like if you use Premiere Pro, which also works, they'll have you like do I don't know like 3 steps to do a simple edit, where in Sony Vegas it's 1 step, and like those little steps just really add up over time. So you can just edit faster in Vegas.
I might have to think about that.
I've
I'm not too far down the rabbit hole in Premiere Pro yet. Maybe I'll have to think about switching.
Yeah, I highly recommend Vegas, especially if you can get it for sale like on a humble bundle.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out on the Humble store. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
I've considered dipping my toes into editing several times, and while it's always really interesting to me,
Mhm.
there is such a depth of knowledge that you almost need to have before you even start editing that it really scares me. And my
Oh
schedule is
yeah.
already absurd, and
Mhm.
my attention span due to my ADD is not always there.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I could learn this thing, or I could delegate this to Skyhawk, and I can work on something that I already know how to do.
Funny thing is,
Ooh.
for my editors, that's like the only position where I don't require any experience. Because editing
Really?
is so easy, we can literally just teach our editors in-house how to do things. And in fact, I kind of prefer the people who don't know how to edit because they're so much easier to teach how to do my style specifically. Because when I
Wow.
bring in people who do have prior editing experience, they try to do their own thing. And it's just like,
Yeah.
no, just do what I'm telling you
You're-
to do. Stop trying to like, and reinvent the wheel here.
You get to
Yeah.
you get to work with a blank canvas there, and you don't pick up.
Yeah, a
like,
blank
any-
canvas is so
any
much easier
bad
because like the
habits.
editing we do isn't hard to do. It's just time consuming.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I prefer people who have like no experience with editing but do have experience working hard at something, which kind of it makes it hard to find editors sometimes because once they learn how to do editing, they find out, oh, this is awful, so they quit.
Once you like I'm because really I guess for your stuff it's like backgrounds, how to move a card in and out of a frame.
Yeah, the backgrounds, the
And
cards,
then-
and the text. The thing is, the text itself is what really takes forever. That's why
Yeah.
if you ever see someone who's brand new to editing or like just Yu-Gi-Oh videos specifically, you'll see them do it. They'll have the backgrounds, they'll have the cards, but they won't have text. And the reason for that is because adding text takes forever.
Right, because that's
Like that takes like half the time, like
Type-
if not more.
typing it out, making sure the font is good, making sure it looks good.
Yeah,
in the background,
even if you have a preset
making
for all
s-
that, it just takes forever.
making sure that because you got to line it up exactly. You don't want to have it if like with a box you have to like resize everything if you want it to look exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. For editors, are basically paying them just to add text to screen because all the other stuff is pretty easy.
Amazing. That's the production
so
quality level
funny.
we're at. That's
Yeah, that's why like editing is very easy. It's like the easiest thing in the world. That's why I'm always so like um trying to get my fellow streamer friends who I met in this past year who are lovely people who have great personalities and stuff who are allergic to editing because they think it's hard. I'm just like, no, it's so ridiculously easy. That's why I downloaded some like free programs. Is like I just want to see the best way to ease them into this incredibly easy thing that grows your career way more than just streaming every day.
Yeah.
makes sense.
We've been doing the podcast for 2.5 years now, and it took us a year and some change of that to put video on it because of the intimidation level of editing. And even then, when we did
Yeah.
it, we just got a high school friend that knew how to edit professionally to do it for us.
Well,
Oh my god,
that's
it's
what
so easy.
I've been in the tank. I was like I was somebody who was definitely scared. Like, I'd messed around with
That was
like,
before Skyhawk was on the podcast.
yeah.
To be fair,
So like I'd messed around in iMovie as a kid. Like you run into stuff. I used to make stuff all the time for school projects. So it wasn't like it was a huge dive for me, and I still have tons to learn. Like the stuff that I do for the pod is super basic and silly.
Yeah.
But I come more from an audio editing perspective. So it's fun to hear you mention. It's fun to hear you mention truncate silence and Audacity, because like
Yeah, the thing is like if you're going to be a content creator on YouTube, you have to know how to do everything.
Yeah, it really.
So like, you have to know sound editing, you have to know video editing, you have to know like graphic design, you have to know marketing. That's why it's so hard to succeed. Like if you see people who are really talented at one thing and they don't succeed, it's because they probably like aren't good at marketing themselves, or they have like terrible sound editing, or they don't know how to edit, or they don't know how to do, graphic design.
Yep.
So like you really have to know so many different things. That's why it's such like a high barrier to entry, even though it seems like there's a very low barrier.
It's a low
That's
barrier
why I'm able to
be like a small space. If your goal is to go full time, it's a really high barrier.
Yeah, it's a really high barrier just because you have to know so many different skills. Like most streamers don't know how to edit, and like that's one of the most basic skills you need to know because you have to edit your own clips. Because we just save so much money and it doesn't really take that much time.
Yeah. Having two people on the pod is nice too, because I can do like the video editing, I can do the audio side of things. I cannot make a good thumbnail to save my life. So that's that's so.
And like you have to make a good title and thumbnail, because like when it comes to a YouTube video, the things that make it succeed are like video content, title, and thumbnail.
That's what
people are like, well, I have a good video. It's like, well, your thumbnail sucks, and like your title is, you won't believe what happened. Is like, okay, that's not gonna sell the video. That's a terrible title.
Oh no! I should go look at the views on our last video.
Like
you just described our thumbnail.
Yes,
I've created
I told you.
I have an internal like video that I send to like my content creator friends. Is like, here's how to make proper titles. And because sometimes the thing is, a lot of mistakes that new people make, because like creating a proper title is like a skill as well. So like it's easy to make that one a mistake with that, specifically because a lot of big content creators have terrible titles. And they think, oh, they do that, and they're big. They must be big because of their terrible titles. But it's like, no, actually, they have terrible titles because they can get away with it because they're already big.
Because they're already huge. So as soon as
as soon as you shouldn't look at them as like an example. Yeah.
As soon as
sometimes they have terrible thumbnails too.
Or
another thing I see with people who make a mistake with thumbnails is they'll look what everybody else is doing and then try to copy it. So that way their thumbnails just fit in with the crowd. So like one of the first things I do when I look at other start going to a new a new territories, I look at everyone else's thumbnails. I was like, okay, how can I do this different? That way I stand out from everyone else in the recommended tab.
So most
of the time I don't have to change much because what I do is already different from everyone else. But I see everybody else is trying to copy like the big content creators. Like, oh, they have really nice looking thumbnails with this font. I'm gonna copy that exact font and the exact style they do it. And then it just like blends in with everything.
That's actually such an interesting insight too. So if somebody gets recommended, say you're going back into the Hearthstone space, you're making a Pokemon video, somebody gets recommended 8 Pokemon videos, you're like, how do I get them to pick my video out of the 8? And it's like, well, if it looks different from the other 7, then that's
basically that's it. That's why it's like impossible to make a video on how to make proper thumbnails, because like, well, you have to do market research. And then you also have to know graphic design. So it's just like learn how to market research and learn how to do graphic design. And then, do something different from everyone else. And sometimes different doesn't mean like super like fancy. Sometimes you have to go like super basic because people like basic thumbnails.
Yeah, I guess part of it for me was learning everything basically on the fly. And just self-teaching myself everything and just having to like learn from my own errors. which
Yeah,
I still
that's why,
haven't
like,
necessarily learned from all of my own errors, but
yeah, because there's so much you have to know when you want to get into like content creation that if you do know everything already, you have such a huge advantage over everyone else. Because I
Yeah.
was like already successful in the World of Warcraft side before I started making the edited videos in the Yu-Gi-Oh one. And when I finally applied the exact same methods I used over there to the Yu-Gi-Oh scene, it like blew up. And that's because the Yu-Gi-Oh scene, you know, we have lots of lovely content creators over here, but
Nowhere
most of them are allergic to editing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so
or like market research. They
This-
just kind of do whatever.
I think that this
Oh,
is
it was
actually,
like, shooting fish in a barrel almost. It was like it
Yep.
was much easier
I
because the
think-
World of Warcraft scene is so cutthroat and hardcore. Like I remember when there was a huge controversy with Blizzard and like World of Warcraft, and a lot of the World of Warcraft people moved over to Final Fantasy. There was like a thread on Reddit where like, the best thing that ever happened to our community was the World of Warcraft content creators coming over here because now we have good videos. Because like
Yeah.
the competition was fierce over there. And going over to the Yu-Gi-Oh scene where no one knows how to edit. It was so easy.
yeah, it's improved a little bit over the last chunk of time, but I mod for MBT. I've been around that channel since he was like 1K
Mhm.
subs back playing Trinity format, and
Yeah.
part of his blow up was just that there was almost nobody in the scene doing anything. Like
Yeah.
there's like and even his thumbnails, he's like he admitted himself are like not were not great at the time, but like it's
Yeah.
there was nobody making like super high production value content. So like in that like 5 issues ago space with like you and then like Nim doing the vlog series sealed only,
Mhm.
and then Simo finally being like, okay, we're doing prog now, we're trying to like actually build like an audience here, that
Yeah.
it slowly started to shift, but we're still so far behind a ton of other communities.
We are. Yeah, like I remember one of the things that I learned about the Yu-Gi-Oh community compared to the WoW one was one time a really popular Yu-Gi-Oh content creator, I'm not going to say who it was, but he made like a Twitter post. He's like, "Hey, smaller Yu-Gi-Oh content creators, I want to see your channels. Post them down below." So like there was 100 people who posted their Yu-Gi-Oh channels down below. And I was like, "Oh, I would regularly like every week have on my schedule to look for new World of Warcraft content creators." And I would go through all the new channels and they had like really decent videos for like brand new people. And like that's how I met some of my editors in the past. Was just by watching brand new people. So I was like, "Oh, I want to see the Yu-Gi-Oh side. How are their brand new videos?" And I looked through all 100 channels that were posted, and they were all garbage. Like I didn't find a single good one. I was like, I
Yeah.
want to see a diamond in the rough. And it was like, this guy was a webcam video. He's like, "Hey guys, here's my deck profile on, I don't know, Sky Blasters. So I use 3 cards. Some people use 2. I use 3. I'm not gonna explain why though. Also, my fan is on. It's making really bad noise. Just ignore that. Hey mom, no, I want chicken nuggets tonight. Okay guys, I'm not gonna edit that out. Anyways, there's my deck profile. There's like so many of them were just deck profiles with no editing. Or like their own progression series where they'd start the video with the first 30 minutes of them bantering.
So many of those.
Yeah, it was like, "Hey guys, this is my friend. He's Crazy Pete. You guys all know him, right?" It's like, "No, this is your episode 1. Who's this guy?" They're like, "Oh, we're gonna talk for 30 minutes before we like open packs very slowly and not edit anything out, and then we'll start dueling and in the 2-hour mark." And I'm just like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
It was like this. They're having fun, at the very least.
I think that there was a lot of damage done from there being this time in Yu-Gi-Oh's history where up until like 2014 there just wasn't a channel that made decent Yu-Gi-Oh content. It just
No.
We had like
didn't exist.
Galactic God maybe
I think Galactic God was the highest quality Yu-Gi-Oh content creator back then,
at the time.
but his standards compared to what we do nowadays.
Yeah, I
Different
remember
world.
watching entire channels that would just do nothing but just like talk about random things while going through their bulk, and that was like considered a Yu-Gi-Oh channel at the time.
It was so
Um,
low effort.
Yeah.
Simo Tech Tuesday. That's the genesis. The birth.
Yeah, like even my videos are low effort, but like they were just I was doing it for fun. I wasn't trying to put effort into it.
Yep.
So we are kind of on the wrap up here, but before we do, I have one last question, which
Mhm.
is the videos on your channel that I have received probably the most the most personal enjoyment from are the 8 hours of Yu-Gi-Oh! Facts to fall asleep to and the 12 hours of Yu-Gi-Oh! Facts to fall asleep to. And I gotta ask, what made you want to put those out there? Was it just like, hey, I can get a ton of really easy watch hours like this?
It's like so over on my World of Warcraft channel, we had these series where like we partnered with a smaller content creator to make these really big lore videos where he was summarizing one of the WoW books. And I was like, these are excellent. However, lore is very hard to market because nobody wants to watch it.
Right.
However, I'm willing to pay you in order to put this on my channel, like the compilation video, which is like 4 hours long. And it's like, because I think this is very high quality, even though it's really hard to market. And I'll just give you like half the revenue as well on top of like a down payment. And they're like, okay. So we put it on my channel, and the video was like my highest earner for like that month, even though the views weren't even that good. And I was just like, oh, maybe there's something here with like very high quality, big, long videos. So we had another one, and it was also like the second highest earner. So we're on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel. I was like, well, I do want to do a compilation of all the banned videos, and I know these long ones do it over here, so let me just try it over here. And I did the compilation of all the banned cards, and it did very well. And it's always like consistently one of my highest earners because YouTube loves watch time. And it's really hard to get people to watch really long videos on YouTube unless they're really high quality. So like basically just, yeah. So if it's a compilation video of a whole bunch of other high quality, highly edited videos, YouTube loves it and will promote it like crazy. And also you just get paid more through YouTube Premium because they pay you based on like watch time. So like, you know, half of my YouTube Premium revenue comes from those long videos. And then
That's
I also
crazy because I have YouTube Premium and I will let them go all night long.
yeah. Even if you like offline download the video, it'll count as like a full view. So like they'll pay you for that.
Oh, done. I'm sorry. I'm
so,
downloading
like,
everything instantly.
Yeah. So like offline downloads count as like a full view of like the entire video. So if you offline download like an 8-hour video, you get like an 8-hour watch time on that. But also I saw like Did You Know Gaming posted videos like 1 hour of Mario Facts to fall asleep to, and I was like,
that's it.
That's it. Like, I'm already doing the compilation videos either.
We can.
So I grabbed the video and I was just like, I'm just gonna take this and I'm just gonna make a couple of adjustments to the video. You know, that way it's not just a compilation.
We can.
And I put it out and it did really well. I did a second one, and this time I added a whole bunch of bonus content. That way, it seems like it's more worth it to watch it if you already watch all the videos.
Yeah.
So
it's just been doing super well.
We can game watch time and we can get the ASMR crowd to show up. Awesome. Let's
Exactly.
go.
Yeah. Because they already tell me like, you know, I get like a comment every day on streams like, I use your videos to fall asleep to. And then I saw like the compilation videos doing well, and then the fall asleep to video compilation. I'm just like, oh my god, this is the match made in heaven.
And it's funny because I think so many creators would see that comment and be like, come on, dude, really? Just like watch the videos, like don't fall asleep. But I like how you're just like, wait a minute.
That's watch
There's
time.
there's an untapped well of free money here.
Yeah. I'm just like, ooh, you watching to fall asleep too? That means the video keeps playing while you fall asleep. That's all YouTube cares about.
That's so awesome. So, all right, so Skyhawk, we're gonna start doing season-long videos of the entire season compiled.
Right.
YouTube has a 12-hour limit on videos.
All right, half seasons.
I found that out in my last video.
Like, this
I
is-
remember
didn't used to have
you
a
seeing
12-hour
that
limit, but
post.
they
It was like
added it.
12 hours and 7 minutes or something.
Yeah, it was 12 hours and like 12 minutes. And they're like, we used to allow videos over 12 hours, but we don't do that anymore. I'm just like, god dang it.
Well, I do want to go ahead and get on into our Patreon names here because this is, as I said, the end of the episode, unfortunately. But I want to hear your feedback on some of these patron names because some of them are absurd and not all of them make sense. But you feel free to stop me at any moment if one just really gets you and you got to take a second.
Okay, I'm curious.
Okay. So we'll start at the top, of course. So a huge thank you to Bring Red Reboot Back to 3.
Oh, God.
Kane Martin, Zyphorus, Big Stinky, Blue Eyes is Best, Copium, Branded in Chanel number 5.
That's good. I like that one.
That's a good one. Broken Boy 13, Ding Dongs, Hostess of the Yang Zing.
Yep. Ding dong.
Gold
Good.
Secrets coming back when, Konami?
Please. That's a new one.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
Wait,
like,
what's Gold Secrets?
Gold Secret Rares?
It's like the old, the premium gold. So if you think
Yeah,
like
yeah.
some of the Burning Abyss monsters have been printed in that rarity.
Beatrice.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep, OG
Yeah.
Beatrice.
HGH Cyber. I used to play Rogue, but then my mom got a job.
That's good.
Is Canada Nickelback, John Leal, Mountain Man, Nibiru, Cool Chain Misk, Oatmeal Spaghetti, only 2 thrusts. Sorry, it's all I had. Owen Alvarado, Pistol Plays Pendulums, Silver Hope, Unbanned Number 95 Konami. Understanding and reading are 2 different things. Virtually Savior's World. As anyone read Toy Vendor, it's kind of like reading Miss Scars. Aaron Gardner, Alexander Chan, Asami, Ashless Chaps, Atsuyo, Simp of the Silver Castle, Blackwing Silverwind the Ascendant is the best Floodgate, Box Wine, Come
Oh
on and get your
God.
game on, Duty Booty, Dragon Maidenless Behavior. I'm about to Rika Glamour tribute for Cost Plant Nuts in Your Mouth. Yeah, every time I have to say it, every time. Cam, the anti-magical hats guy. Listen, Cam.
Last week Cam was the Shadow Wizard Money Gang executive.
No, that was 2 weeks ago.
That was 2 weeks ago. Then the week before, he was the super mega hyper D-shifter hater, and now he's
That was last week.
Now he's the
And
magical.
then 3 weeks ago, it was Sakitama, Aritama, Nikitama, Cam, Obama.
Very good.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Cam is a personal friend of mine. He changes his name every week because he thinks it's funny. And also, the reason he's the anti-magical hats guy is because I was using magical hats in Edison to set gear towns. And,
Oh my God. Classic play.
Mhm.
Right. And then he attacked into my gear town with blowing Sirocco the Dawn. And it's like, well, what happens? Because Sirocco the Dawn destroyed a monster by battle and sent it to the graveyard. But the issue is when it hit the graveyard, now it's a spell card, not a monster. So does Sirocco check on the field or does Sirocco check in the grave? And it's like, it became a whole question that we didn't have the answer to. So we had to go to a judge at a regional. Neshi, Old Man Red, pin code 143, and Slaking It Up. Thank you all so much for your continued support of the podcast. Now, before we go, obviously, I want to thank Mr. Log for being here with us today and also let the people know where they can find your stuff. Obviously, all the
Yeah.
channels we've mentioned, but, you know.
So you can find me over on the Manalogs at themanalogs.com/YouTube. And there's also the DuelLogs. And I think it's just those 2 channels. Those are the most viewed ones anyway.
Absolutely.
Then you can find all the channels from there.
Yep, for sure. It'll probably be in the like associated channels tab on the page.
Yeah. The associated channels at the bottom of the page.
Yeah. So with that said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode. And of course, until next time, have a great weekend, everyone.
Card pun. I have regained a newfound respect for content creators. How's that?